So welcome to the SERS booth, day 2 of the SEMA show. We're here with Rich Evans from Rich Evans Designs and owner of Huntington Beach Body Works in Huntington Beach, California. The show's been amazing so far, lots of traffic, lots of things going on, and one of the amazing things about being at the SEMA show for the collision repairers here is being able to sit down with amazing custom fabricators and painters like yourself and being able to talk a little bit about how the business of collision repair fits with all those other things, and I think some of the things that people see on TV and which you've certainly done your fair share of, and the other things that we see at the show that are exciting. So Rich, we wanted to, first thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Our pleasure.
Glad to give you a little bit of information on my side.
Yeah, and so, you know, I guess for the folks here, I think everybody knows exactly who you are, but I don't know that everybody knows the background of how you got to where you are, and I think it's a really neat story. We were talking about it earlier. So how did you get into the automotive business?
I think fortunately, I was born and raised in a muffler shop, so the aspect of a car being in front of me right when I came out of the hatch was basically where it started. And then the big part of it to where I'm at now is I started underneath the car. You know, muffler shop, underneath, brakes. So you started with all those basic, the safety features, the sound. So I've had that embedded in my head from day one. And then, you know, getting around 10, 11 years old, that's when, I mean, in my generation, that's when, you know, buy a car and start fixing it up. You start thinking ahead before you're able to drive. You're building a car. Right. You know, so you don't wait till you're able to drive and go out and buy a car. So my first car was a '69 Nova. You know, got it, started tearing it apart, and then I think really where my body really came interest is, say I walked out in my garage and my brother is working on a bed that we made off like a '56 Chevy to make it into a trailer, and I'm looking at it and he's working on it and doing the body work, and I'm like, why can't I do that? You know, so I was kind of, you know, that's my first point of seeing what's he doing, why can't I do it? And I think at that point, that's where my turn and where I was going to go with it.
And you mentioned you're actually second or third generation, right? Your grandfather was a body man?
My grandfather, actually muffler body man. He actually ran around with George Barris before he made his first $100.
Wow.
So, you know, as growing up as a kid in Pasadena in a muffler shop, you know, I was going to George Barris' shop, and I can still remember things from age 5, walking in there, you know, the different Bob Hope mobile and just different, you know, just inspired me. I think it's that niche that you're getting introduced to it, but you don't know you're getting introduced to it.
Sure.
You know, and then the ability that I found more at a younger age is when I worked on my first car, we're obviously in a muffler shop building cars in the garage, hanging out with Dad. There were some parts of my car I couldn't fix, so we went up to a local body shop, which is Dave Hopkins up in Loomis, Sacramento. And, you know, I went up there and he's I'll fix the front fenders and I'll tell you how to fix the rest. So he'd start doing work on the fenders and I watch, you know, and then he tells me how to do this and he comes back and he's all, I was working on my quarter panels and he's all, have you ever done this before? I'm all, no. And he's all, you need to do this for a living. So from that point was a turning point for me. And then as I finished my first car, then I went, at 16, 17 years old, I went and tried to sneak myself into a body shop and say, hey, I'm this kid with brand new tools, you know, I'm a body guy. And I worked with Dave, you know, and he wanted me to work with him, that was the plan. But then I moved back, I was back and forth with parents, so I moved back to Southern California and worked myself into a body shop as a body man's helper is kind of where I started. And I worked with this guy as long as I could work with them and learn something. And then I was that kind of antsy kid that wanted to jump around and just learn it and suck it in. And so I'd learn a bunch from this guy, and then I'd hop around and I'd go work with another guy. So I basically accumulated 5 guys' techniques and made my own to who I was. And my biggest, I would say, draw is I can watch somebody do something and I can do it. Sure. That's my gift that I got, and I found it at a young age. It doesn't matter what it is, and I'll figure it out quicker. So that's helped me in where I've gone.
So you had a lot of guys who kind of helped walk you through learning those ropes, and I know you do a lot of work today with students and things along those lines, and have a real passion for that as well. So I'm assuming that background kind of probably inspired something.
I think it inspired because as I was growing, some body guys didn't want me to advance faster. And I think that's what turned me. It's like, hey, I want to help our industry and help the guys get there quicker.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it takes a long time to learn it, and it's a long trail. A lot of bumps, a lot of trial and error, product, trial and error, you know, because a lot of labor intensive goes into that. If you're putting your time into something, time is money in this industry. So basically, you know, with all the guys out there, it's all about time and money, time management. I mean, obviously you guys see that on the show.
Sure.
It's like these guys are wanting us to build cars in 72 hours. Are you kidding me? You know, but it's like you keep a positive, you have a process, you apply it, you utilize the clock, you utilize the people they give you. Anything's possible, and I think that's the biggest thing for me is if you don't try it, how do you know you can't do it?
Sure.
So that's always been my positive. I really live it in a nutshell. Learn something new every day. Try to better yourself at what you do, and be consistent at it. Some consistency always pays off, sometimes faster than others.
Sure. And quality certainly a priority. So.
Quality is key.
Yeah.
If you don't better yourself at what you're doing, then you're never going to advance to that. You know, I mean, there's millions of great builders out there, millions of techs out there, but if everybody practiced that same formula, the industry would be better. You know, you're not, a lot of times I'd see reworking other people, guys, if you don't care about your job, find the job that cares about you. Some people never find it. I was fortunate enough to find what I love to do, and it's easy for me to do.
And I've spoken before about estimating being such a critical factor of that process. And I think that, you know, for a lot of shops today, there's emphasis put there, but there's so much more put on the backside, and the estimating doesn't always get addressed as much. And for an organization like SERS, who's here to serve collision repairs, we put together a guide for complete repair planning to try to help shops have some sort of tool and document to put that together.
This is needed. This is great.
So tell us a little bit. I mean, you and I, we've had that discussion, and I'm curious on your thoughts on that transition that you made from when you opened your business and we're building it to saying how we're going to, you mentioned maybe reducing your size but spending more time focusing on that front end process.
Yeah, I think you don't really have to reduce your size, I mean, in the shop space and utilize what you have, but you have to tighten the belt, you know, on what's going on, how you're doing it. I mean, it's just like, you know, a lot of insurance companies, you know, that I just want to bring forward, they worry about what the bottom line is. I don't care what the bottom line is. When it comes down to it, I care about the steps and procedures it takes to get to the end of the project. Just like, I'll use this example, it's out of the automotive world, but just like when you go and grocery shopping, you buy all the food that you need, right? You're not worried about the bottom line, or you don't know how much it costs, but you know what you need.
Right.
Right? At the end of the day, the check register doesn't lie.
Well, you know, and it's making that transition from going from estimating to blueprinting, and having that process, and you've said that several times.
That's key, because if someone's not there, somebody else has to step in and put the car together, or take the car apart or start where they started.
Sure.
If you have a blueprint, it's easy to do.
Yeah.
Somebody can step right in, keep the process running smooth.
Yeah. So, and you know, it's having a strategy for your business, and you know, we have, with our education that we're offering here at SEMA, we have a headline presentation on Thursday, which we're bringing in fighter pilot speakers to talk about tactics and strategy and how those apply, how they use them in the air during combat, and how that applies to the business world as well. And so, again, I think we're right on line on what we see as the necessary tools for collision repairs going forward.
Correct.
So, for the folks who are here in the audience with us and who are watching from home as well, I know a lot of them know you from the TV shows that you've been involved in. So, and a lot of kids look up to that. They look at guys like you and others like you who are these really well-renowned fabricators and custom painters and things along those lines. And how do you make that transition from shop to personality, if you will, and you know, I guess your thoughts on, you know, every kid wants to get here. Your thoughts on the steps you have to take to get there.
Yeah, I think shop and personality, the first thing I want to tell everybody is just be yourself. You know, if you're yourself, it's so much easier. If you're trying to be somebody you're not, then it's so much harder and such a long trail being out there. To go from, you know, body shop, collision, always did customs, that's the passion, but then again, everybody's getting up in the day to make a buck and pay their bills. Right. I've been real fortunate to have opportunities to come across where I'm in competition with myself. You know, I'm not in competition with the world, or I'm not building cars when I'm doing custom cars. I'm not building cars to satisfy the world because I'd never get it done. So basically, in a nutshell, I'm in competition with myself. And to give any inspiration to, you know, people on the other side of what I do. If I'm involved with the show, a TV show, it has to be real. So if we're building cars in 72 hours, we're building cars in 72 hours, and there's no breaks in it. And it's, you know, something that you can't just all of a sudden do it. I tell a lot of guys, I don't know, they've seen some of the shows out there, I trained for this, you know, so to speak. And I think, you know, be creative, don't be a follower. You can watch out what everybody else is doing, and it's okay to be a follower, you know, because you're going to get ideas. SEMA shows all kinds of ideas. You register it up here in the toolbox, you apply it when it's needed. Me, I try to be myself, create my own style. I do future, modern muscle, and then I do hot rods too. I don't do a certain type, I do anything and everything. So when a show comes up like Car Warriors, you know what, I'm ready for anything. This is what I do, this is what I live, eat, breathe, sleep, you know?
Sure.
And it's just you have to love your job. And to me, I've never worked a day in my life.
So tell me a little bit, you know, what's going on for Rich Evans Designs here at the SEMA show? What's
right now for the SEMA show? I have great news for body shops, for service shops, for dent repair shops, pretty much anything. I've got a product that I came across about 6 months ago called Solution Finish. And basically what this product does, and everybody that owns a car will need this product, which is cool. Another big thing I like about it is I can fix thousands of cars, and now I can fix millions of cars. I mean, how cool is that?
Yeah.
What Solution Finish does is that any black texture, you know, black is made out of carbon. We all know that. Carbon wears over time, just like anything else. Some faster than others, some not others. So basically, the problem that I think we've been seeing is people accept that wear. Like I take an Avalanche for back. I'm seeing an Avalanche, paint looks shiny, plastic looks faded. Just like, really? $30,000 car? What do you got to do? Buy new parts? To buy new parts, it's expensive. A lot of people can't afford it. So with this product that I came across, that actually is my product, that I've invested into the company because I believe in it. And for me to put a product out with my name on it, it has to work.
Yeah.
So, and it's with a solvent base. Basically, the product is solvent based with carbon chopped up. So we're reapplying the carbon on the car, and I made it as easy as possible. Wipe on, wipe off like shoe polish. Doesn't stick to paint, doesn't stick to what it's not supposed to stick to. How long does it last? Lasts as long as a new part. So you have your choice. Buy a new part or use my product. And I broke it down. 1 ounce bottle is 3 cars. $29.95. Wipe it on. I've done a 5-minute loop so people can watch how it's done to apply it. And so you can get more into that. If you go to solutionfinish.com, you can watch it, see it more. It's introduced. It's great for the body shops because you can actually increase your sales by, I would say on the smallest scale, 10%. On a highest scale, that if you train your guys at least 30 or 40%, because you have a car, you have a customer's in there getting their car fixed, they have a faded cowl panel, faded wipers, faded mirrors. What's the sense? People care about their car. And if you can either, one, supply them a service without charge, gets them saying, hey, this guy's a rock star, these guys are rock stars, they're fixing my car. 2, you can use an upsell and fix something that they can never fix, and the only other answer is buy a new part. It's expensive. So it's a win-win for everybody. It's a win for me because I'm actually bringing a product to our industry. Not just the auto. I'm just introducing an automotive. It goes beyond automotive. Yeah, it's amazing. You walk down an aisle, 9 out of 10 cars need it. Since 6 months ago, I can't quit looking at all the cars. They all, you know what? You guys fix your cars because I have the solution now.
Well, and that's the cool thing about our industry, and actually at this show, there's a lot of collision shop owners who took that entrepreneurial spirit and created something out of it. And you know, I think that's the great thing about our industry. You know, and like you said, here's a way to take your existing skill sets in your shop, your existing overhead, and add new profit centers into it, which is why people come to a show like this, is to get that inspiration and find those ideas, the good investments where they can bring it back home and start making better money like that for their business.
Better money. It's making more jobs for people. This product, it's actually adding the service, increasing your sales, and then there's no other product out there that does what it does. The only other product is silicone. This is like painting without a paint gun.
Sure.
I mean, you don't have to mask or nothing.
Yeah.
It takes care of problems. You know, the body shops out there that are buffing and getting the white embedded into the black carbon, there's no taking it off. There's no answer. My product, wipe on, wipe off. You know, it's something that's like, wow, why haven't anybody figured this out? And And the real fact about it is, manufacturers are building these cars and selling them nice. Their key is that they want to sell more parts down the line, so they don't really care about the car. Otherwise, they wouldn't use it.
Yep.
So I found the answer. I resolved the answer.
Love it.
Solutionfinish.com.
And that's what body shops do, right? We see problems and we fix them. You know,
we fix problems all day long.
Rich, I want to thank you for taking the time to come and sit with our group, talk with our guys, and participate with SERS. For those of you who joined in for the broadcast, this is again day 2 of the SEMA show. We have a lot more going on. We have more guests coming in later this afternoon and in the days coming up. Please don't miss the coverage, and if you're here, make sure to come stop by our booth, come say hello, and get a load of all the great ideas and things going on at the SEMA show. Look forward to seeing you later on.
Don't forget to visit richevansdesigns.com.